Today we are lucky to have Mr. Oorvazi Irani, filmmaker, and Mr. Prashant Thombre, advocate, with us today. Oorvazi, your films are really stunning to look at. I have admired your films. And they're loaded with content. I think that's the reason Prashant is here today.
Yes, and we're very lucky to have him here.
Yes, of course.
And I would specifically want you to talk a little more about Anahita's Law.
Anahita's Law is basically exploring the identity of women of the 21st century. And for me as a woman, as an artist, that was at the center of my exploration, where I was in fact questioning myself that we are in the 21st century and a lot of our thinking in society still belongs to a very ancient period. So as an artist, I wanted to kind of look at the whole process of how we can question certain practices in India, and therefore the coming together of the ancient for me with the goddess of Anahita, who is the Persian goddess from the 4th century BC, from the Achaemenid Empire. In fact, there was a time where Artaxerxes II, who was an academic king, had temples built in her service. And also with that, in fact, we have the whole element of the religion of Zoroastrianism, where we had the feminine force which was in the forefront. So taking that forward, I wanted to bring in the element of a contemporary impetus with the Uniform Civil Code. And I felt that basically what the Uniform Civil Code in principle, what it excited me as a woman filmmaker, was that it separated the personal law, the religious law, which was very ancient. It had a lot of scriptures, it had a lot of ancient wisdom, but also had a lot of things which were outdated in today's modern society. Yes. And therefore I felt that that was something that needed to be seriously discussed and debated in the neutral space of art, and therefore this film.
Now Prashant, tell me, what is Uniform Civil Code and why it is important?
Uniform Civil Code is actually law relating to property and civil issues such as marriage, divorce, inheritance, adoption. Uniform Civil Code is basically it is something where our personal laws which are prevailing right now will be replaced, and a uniform code will be made effective, so that various personal laws which are gender biased will be struck down, will be nullified, and that we will be having a uniform code with regards to issue relating to civil matters.
I think in the criminal law you have
exactly.
Code, right?
We already have a prevailing law that is a Criminal Procedure Code and our Indian Penal Code, which is applicable throughout our nation.
And so this is like the next step.
Exactly.
Where it's already there in the Constitution.
As far as our Constitution of India is concerned, Uniform Civil Code is actually already a directive principle. As per Article 44, Uniform Civil Code is already a part of our Constitution, and the lawmakers at the time of making our Constitution ensured that there is a requirement of Uniform Civil Code. But due to various communities, due to objection from their end, it was not made effective at that time.
So what I understand from what Prashant was saying, if UCC was in force, your characters in your films would not have suffered as much, right?
Right. Because I think what the characters are ruled by are the patriarchal framework of the religious laws, because religion has been controlled by a lot of patriarchy, and therefore there is this gender bias. So Khurshid, for example, would not be outcast, and her son would be accepted into the faith. If we had lawyer Bakhtavar, in fact, which is one of the burning issues in our community, if her child would be accepted even though she married somebody from the other religion, then she would not be the rebel that she is. So yes, of course, the characters are in the film to kind of bring about the debate of the UCC. And in fact, I would like to ask Prashant to share the very relevant cases in the Parsi
as well
contemporary
as
society and the other religions. And
religions.
therefore, I think the point of making this film also is that the gender bias that we are facing as a community, even though we are a minuscule community in India, it is a similar issue with Muslims and with some Christians and Hindus. And so maybe you could take that forward.
Yes, I will definitely agree with Suvarna and Oorvazi on this point. Personal laws are obviously gender biased when it comes to interest of women. As far as Parsi personal law is concerned, the community, if a Parsi woman is married outside their community to a different religion, then children born out of the said wedlock, those children are not permitted to enter the Parsi temples.
Correct.
I would also like to share a case where a Parsi daughter was not permitted to attend her parents' rituals in the temple.
Right.
The petitioner, she filed a petition before the apex court. Name was Gulrup Gupta, where the apex court in fact protected her interest and gave directions to the Parsi temple for her to enter the temple and perform the rituals of their parents inside. The observation of the Supreme Court was that personal laws are important, but they are not about the statutes of our country. And similarly, it's not only about a single community, but each major community there are personal laws which are affecting interest of women on a larger scale. I would also like to share a case of Shah Bano, where a large outcry in fact was raised in 1985. Where maintenance of a 60-year-old woman was denied by her husband. She was given divorce, and after that she was denied maintenance. So the court, in fact, this matter was with regards to Madhya Pradesh. The court, in fact, granted maintenance in her favor because she applied for maintenance under the provision of Criminal Procedure Code. As I earlier stated, that already we have a prevailing code with regards to criminal issues, which is working on the footings of uniform code. So the Madhya Pradesh High Court as well as the Supreme Court in fact confirmed the order of maintenance in favor of a Muslim women.
You know, Oorvazi, what I like the most about your film? All the three characters are really very strong. You know, and Anahita reminds me of the goddess Saraswati. So can you talk a little bit about it?
Yeah. So for me, it was very important that the film at one level is also a representation of women on screen, because if we talk or we look at the language of cinema, then the film is also trying to question that, and therefore the choice of having only a close-up. But the representation of women also includes the representation of characters. So for me, the goddess represented at one level, when we talk about the feminist approach, we have this whole debate of the woman represented on screen as either a goddess or a whore. And what I've tried to do in the film is I've tried to include all these representations. So I have the goddess, and I have the adultery and the rape. So I have the victim and the goddess and the rebel. So I've tried to kind of put them all together to kind of create an accumulated kind of symbol of womanhood. And therefore it's trying to include rather than exclude anybody. Talking about Anahita herself, I think for me she is not limited to being a goddess, and yes, very rightly she represents Saraswati, the closest to Saraswati in the Indian context, in the Hindu context. But I think for me she is also above just being a goddess, and she represents the essence of womanhood.
So, Oorvazi and Prashant, it was pleasure talking to you.
Same here.
I have understood UCC better and the relevance of it, of course. I hope the audiences also will watch the film and understand what we're trying to portray.
I'm sure. And do see the link of the film with the interview. And I hope that this is an ideological shift that the law can bring for society to change.